Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Miss Angler's Biology Classroom. I am Miss Angler, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at reproduction in bacteria. Now, if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to turn your notifications on as I post new content every Tuesday and Thursday for grades 8 to 12. Now, at this point in the video, I need to know that you are very comfortable with the structure of a bacterial cell. And so we're not going to go over it in this video, but if you would like to reference back to my microorganism diversity video, I'm going to link it above, and you can go over the structures that we see in a bacterial cell. We'll need to know these because we need to know how they play a role in the bacterial reproduction. Now, the first kind of reproduction that we see in bacteria is binary fission. Now, binary fission only occurs in favorable conditions. And basically what that means is the bacteria are in a warm, moist, neutral pH environment with lots of food. And this is the most efficient way that they can reproduce. It's a very simple process. Essentially what happens is the nucleoid, or the piece of DNA inside the bacteria, goes through DNA replication, and so it replicates itself. You see we now have two sets of DNA on the inside. Then all we start to do is go through a very similar process like mitosis, where we start to separate the cytoplasm. And eventually what happens is a cross wall forms and it invaginates the two cells. In other words, invaginate means it just pinches off in the middle here. That's what the invagination means. And essentially what you're trying to do is make two identical cells. So the membrane starts to separate, the cytoplasm starts to separate, and finally a wall starts to appear in the middle. And as you can see in step 4, it says your cross wall has completely formed, which is this section over here. So now we have two separate cells. We refer to them as daughter cells, and that is how you make two identical bacterial cells through binary fission. Sometimes what can happen during binary fission is bacterial cells can sort of float towards each other. They can exchange little pieces of DNA with each other to sort of create like genetic variation, because otherwise every single bacterial cell would be a clone. And so to improve their survival rate, they might do this as well. But the basics is we take one original bacterial cell and we are making a daughter or copy of it. And that is how bacteria can go from one cell to millions of cells in a very short period of time. Now, on the other hand, what happens if a bacterial cell finds itself in an unfavorable condition? And this is what we refer to as endospore formation. Now, what exactly counts as an unfavorable condition? Generally, an unfavorable condition might be due to drying out, acidic pH, chemical disinfectants, high temperatures, a lack of food. Any one of these environmental conditions can lead to a bacterial cell creating an endospore. Now, an endospore is endo meaning outside and spore meaning a generative cell. It means that the cell can grow into something in the future. Essentially is formed to protect the bacteria from dying and drying out. And it ensures that if the bacteria is in an unfavorable condition for a very long time, it can go essentially dormant and it can wait for the favorable conditions to return, and then it can go back into its natural vegetative state. So let's take a look at how an endospore actually forms. So we're going to start at this main point over here where we have a bacterial cell. And essentially we are looking at a cell that is not in a favorable condition. The piece of information that's missing off this diagram is that long nucleoid piece of DNA. And that's really important because you're still going to duplicate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it inside this side of the cell and that side of the cell. But what you'll notice is the cell is not dividing equally. You'll see it says asymmetrical cell division. And that means that the one side of the cell is getting a lot more cytoplasm and it's not getting as many protective layers. You'll notice that the green section is called a pre-spore, and that is going to eventually become become the endospore. Now, to separate the future spore from the original mother cell or the parent cell is something called a septum, which is this area in the center here. And essentially, the septum is there to separate the mother cell from what will become the endospore. Now, once the endospore has completed its formation, the piece of DNA is now locked inside of it, and we add layer upon layer upon layer around it. Think of it as creating protective coat after coat to keep it safe from drying out or being damaged by high temperatures or chemicals. And so that's why we see in the next step something called cortex formation. And a cortex in life sciences simply means that it is a middle layer. On top of that, we add another layer, the cell wall. So let's just recap. At this point, we have added a cell wall, a cortex, and the original membrane are now wrapped around each other in 3 layers. And let's not forget what's inside this. We have our piece of DNA, our nucleoid. The final thing that we add on the outside is a spore coat, which means we have added a 4th layer. And remember, we need all these layers to protect our bacterial DNA so that it can reproduce and make more of itself when the favorable conditions occur. So here it is with its DNA sitting inside of it, coat on the outside. But now this endospore needs to be released. And that might be because it needs to move to a different location so that it can find the favorable characteristics, it can find the favorable conditions. Maybe it's too dry where it is right now. And spores are very light, and that's why they're also smaller than the original cell, which means that they can float or be washed away a lot easier to a more favorable location. So what you end up having is something called cell lysis, and lysis means to cut, or in this case, it means cell death. And so what happens is the remainder of the cell, this blue and purple section, ends up dying. And you are left with the endospore, the green circular structure. That is then released, it becomes free, and now it can float and find a new favorable condition. If it can't, it can stay in this condition for months, sometimes years. Once it finds a favorable condition, it goes through germination and it enters back into being a healthy bacterial cell, and it goes into what we call the vegetative cycle, which, as you can see here, that is very basic binary fission. It makes 2 more cells, it grows, and it goes back to the beginning again. And that's when it would enter its favorable conditions, its binary fission conditions. Now, as always, I like to finish off my lessons with a terminology recap, and you can use all of these terms on your flashcards for quick revision. Now, we started off with binary fission, which you will remember is when a bacterial cell is in its most favorable conditions and it is replicating really quickly. And to do so, it uses its nucleoid, its DNA, and it goes through DNA replication. It makes 2 identical sets. And those 2 identical sets of DNA are put in daughter cells, and we can go from 1 bacteria to 2 very quickly. But if a bacterial cell finds itself in an unfavorable space, it creates an endospore, which is basically a multi-layered dormant bacterial cell. And to do this, what we need to do is we need to pinch off the cytoplasm. So we say the cytoplasm invaginates, and it makes the division asymmetrical. It means the one side is a lot bigger than the other, and a cell wall starts to separate these 2 uneven halves, and it creates something called a septum. Now, the septum separates the mother cell from the future endospore. And you'll remember the mother cell is the majority of the cell that's left behind, and the endospore is very, very small. And we add a couple of layers for protection. We add a cortex, which is a middle layer. We then add a spore coat at the very, very end, which is the final outer layer. And so you end up having a cell membrane, you have a cortex, a cell wall, and a spore coat. You have 4 layers to protect your endospore from the environment. At the very end, the endospore is released into the environment via cell lysis, and that's when the mother cell dies and releases the endospore into the environment so that that endospore can go off and reproduce. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I post every Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure those notifications are on so you can stay on track with your schoolwork. And I will see you all again soon. Bye.